Hi, my name is Gaius.
And my name is Bia.
Welcome to our series where we have the wonderful opportunity to talk with the staff from the Singapore Association for the Deaf.
Join us as we dive in to find out more about the heroes behind the scenes.
Hi, I'm Barbara Nicotta and I work at the Singapore Association for the Deaf. I am a trainer for teachers of the deaf. I also run the Little Hands Bilingual Bicultural Program, which is an early intervention program for deaf children. I started training teachers in 2020. Before this, I was teaching before at the School for the Deaf in secondary schools where there were deaf children, and also in Mayflower Primary School. So during the course of the years, I have been mentoring teachers, but formally training we started in 2020. For the training part, this is something that is lacking in Singapore in the sense that there are no institutions that can really train teachers of the deaf. So this is a very vital and important position, I would feel, or department in this Association for the Deaf. Because as a young teacher myself, we could only go to the older teachers, which was good. They were our mentors, the teachers who were there, who were here longer than us. But there was no formal training, and the training that we do get at NIE when we went for the teacher training course was very, very general. So it didn't cover particularly about the deaf, or if it covered a very small bit. So the training that we do here is very, very precise, very focused on deaf education, on how you teach deaf children, whether you're teaching in a special school or whether you teach them in a mainstream school, primary or secondary. There are differences, and really you need to know and how to manage, how to handle or to ensure that learning takes place even in a mainstream school when there's so much happening in the classroom, because the deaf children are mainstream with the hearing children. So in a class of 40, there may be only 6 deaf and the rest of the children are hearing. So the teacher needs to know how to make that lesson unique, or rather how to make that lesson and for the children to understand and to give them the same opportunity as the hearing child in that class. I joined the School for the Deaf while I was waiting for my A-level results. It was a time when the advertisement came out, and we thought it would be interesting to learn how to sign, firstly because you had to learn how to sign. And when we joined, my friend, a good friend and myself, we joined. When I joined, really, I didn't have any expectations or any goals at that time. But I think after a month or two already, I felt that connection with the children. I felt that there's something that I can offer here, and it was a job that was interesting and challenging, but at the same time I could see myself growing as in my profession and growing as a person myself in this job. So I think that sparked me to continue, and being posted to different educational settings for the deaf made it even more interesting and more gave me more opportunities to grow. As I said, I taught primary deaf children in a special school. I taught preschool deaf children in a nursery. I've taught secondary deaf children in a mainstream secondary school, and my last teaching was, of course, at Mayflower Primary School, where the children were mainstream with hearing children. This primary school mainstream program is the first in Singapore that started for the deaf. I mean, mainstream in this way, where 2 teachers teach them at the same time. So I think that we have come a long way, and it's an opportunity for deaf children to learn to be with the mainstream crowd from young, and not wait until they either go to secondary school or to a Institute of Higher Learning or even work. By that time, their own values and all have been set, whereas they start from young. Everything just falls in place as they get older. Experiences with teachers, yes, in the sense that, like I mentioned, every teacher or wherever you teach, it doesn't mean that when you teach the deaf in the same way in all the settings. So I think the experience is that teachers from one setting going to another setting, they find it a bit, they also get a cultural shock. So I've always told teachers, from a SPED school, you go into mainstream school, you must take time to settle down. Not settle down with teaching because you have been teaching already, but settle down with the whole environment, a whole new way of teaching the deaf. So I would think the experience would be that when teachers go into a mainstream school, teachers of the deaf who've always been in a special school, to me, my advice to them is to take time to look around, to learn from the mainstream teachers, to understand how you can be of value to the deaf children, make sure that learning takes place well, and most of all, we should always place the deaf children in that same light as hearing children. I think one of the sad things about special education is that sometimes teachers, parents make their children even more special, in a sense that they see them in a different light, whereas we should see them in the same light as all children, but we teach them in a different way and help them to be on that same level as a hearing child, because in the end, what is different between a hearing child and a deaf child is the deaf child cannot hear, but he can still learn in his own way, and the way that we teachers find suitable for him to learn. Yeah. For the 30 over years, there were many students whom I taught or who have come through the school, but I think if memory is better, because it happened only like 10 years ago, I suppose. When I first came back to the deaf school, I was teaching for many years, and I took some time to be at home with my own two children. And when I came back, there was this particular boy whose mother passed away when he was 3. So when I came back to the school, he was already, I think, in his early teens or something. And because of that trauma of losing the mom, and the father had gone into a nursing home, and he was put into a home, a place where boys live. So he did not live with any family member. He lived with strangers, a big home, many people, but he was obviously a very lonely boy. And when I came back, when I tried helping him, I gave him extra attention because I knew he needed it in his academics. I was told that maybe we should, let him just do what he can, and possibly his route will be going to go to a vocational school rather than to go to academic pathway, which is BT secondary school. But to me, I saw in him the potential to make it to secondary school, but most of all, that if any of the children in that school at that time needed someone to believe in them, it was him, because he had no parents really. I mean, his father is still very sick in home, and there was really no one to take care of him. So he had to learn how to take care of himself. So going by the academic route, definitely would be he would have better opportunities. So for him, I think I remember him the most because when I started showing him more attention, believing in him, and he started passing his exams, he started getting more and more confident. The self-esteem you could see was coming back. He was so happy. He really jumped up when he passed PSLE, really like jumped, don't know how many feet above the ground. And he never expected it himself, although he was trying very hard. So I think he is someone that I will remember, and I'm still in contact with him. He still comes back to me for advice or for help. I just found him someone to tutor him. He's in ITE, Higher Nine Tech. He's having issues with learning certain mechanical terms, so I managed to get someone to help explain it to him because I can't, it's all mechanical terms, yeah. So I think he will always be one of the students that I feel I have worked with well, and I'm happy I came back to the school for him at least. Well, the first thing, parents who have deaf children, if their deaf child cannot access the hearing device, they can go for a cochlear, they can go for a auditory brain stem implant, all these very high-tech operations for the children to hear. But sometimes it does not mean that the children will hear well enough to use speech. So for those parents who have opted to come here, because if they come here, they obviously know that their child cannot use speech to communicate as well, and they need an additional means to communicate, which is sign language, then they should take up that challenge, or take up, I won't say it's not a challenge, they should be responsible enough to learn sign language so that the child has that opportunity to continue learning at home. So very often, this is not only in the present day, but from the time I started teaching, parents have changed, cohort of parents have changed, they have become more and more parents are working, have higher educational levels, but sadly this part about learning sign language hasn't improved. So many parents either learn a little bit and they think that's enough to get by when they can communicate about food, about where to go, and that's enough. But I always tell parents, what about friends? What about talking about, when the child is older, in his teens, or when he has problems with his friends, or even a girlfriend, or even when he's older, finding a job. So all these, you need to be able to communicate well enough. So I think that's what parents don't understand. They think of the now, and I can communicate about how to go to school, this and things that are happening now, but they don't think about the future. So this is often what I tell parents: let's not see him now at 6 years old, let's see him when he's 10. I have 10-year-olds with me. I say, let's see him when he's 16. Why do you need to do this now? So that when he's 16, that's the time when teenagers get all their emotions, emotional issues and all that. So at least you are ready to meet that challenge when it comes, I have 4 children from Little Hands who went to mainstream school already this year. And just yesterday, the parents sent me photos of how they look in the uniform, how excited they were, and I was really happy. And the mom asked, how do you sign the word recess? And we've been having recess here. We provided sign language. So, something like that, like your child is going to primary 1 for the first time and you're asking how to sign recess. I think this should have been way before. So they say, okay, this money is for recess, this money is, whatever. Yeah. So to me as a mother myself, I think parents need to be prepared. As with hearing children already, parents prepare themselves and tell the children what's going to happen. So with hearing children who are deaf, I think it's even more so the parents should prepare themselves. And this is some advice I give to parents. When you go out, I've even given out notebooks to parents when I was in Mayflower. If you can't sign, you don't want to look up the sign in your handphone, this notebook, write down, where are you going? Changi Beach. Show your child, this is where we're going. Because very often the child come back and talk about, I went swimming, I went here, I went there, but they cannot tell us where. Hearing children will say, yeah, we went to Changi, or wherever they went to, West Coast or things. And the child cannot tell, either they're driven there or they take a bus. They can maybe tell me the bus numbers, things like that. So very often, like I say, it's a guesswork. And why we need to know, why parents don't understand that their child needs to know things. They think that just bringing them along, having a good time swimming, that's enough. But all these are learning processes that we try and train and get parents to understand. They cannot sign, there's always writing. There's always drawing, and then, at least that is still communication. In Little Hands, and even in Mayflower, I'm sure they're doing it still, we send back like every week there's spelling, so we ensure that we video a deaf teacher using the signs, because what they learn from the book and maybe what is being learned here, because if they learn from the handphone, it could be from overseas and may not be used in Singapore. So we ensure that the parents know the sign for the words that the child is learning. We set up sign language classes for the parents. We encourage the parents to come here and talk to us and, you know, ask us questions. So any time of the day, like I said yesterday, the parent asked me, how do you sign this? Any time of the day when the parents ask us for advice or for a sign, we're always on call to help. We won't say that, you know, wait till Monday or things like that. We will. So I think this is one way the parents feel comfortable to come to us. We don't put them off, and we cannot foresee what they need, but at least they know that they can come to us anytime they need something or to learn something. Yeah. For training manager, definitely the experience of having taught deaf children. For me, I've taught in all the different levels, as I said, and I think that is an added advantage, because at least when I meet teachers who are teaching young children, I can also understand and remember when I was teaching young deaf children and what was needed for that age. Definitely keeping up with knowledge that is available and ever changing. You know, in education, in all around the world, in any aspect of education, education is always updating, changing. For special needs, it's even more crucial that teachers of the deaf or teachers, special ed teachers need to keep up with what's happening. And it's not about following what's overseas, but it's learning and, you know, implementing it here because it has been proven, or it has, you know, something that will help the deaf children here. So the ability to always learn, to want to improve yourself, no matter how many years you have been teaching, how many years you have been working, to always say that there's something I can learn. And I always tell young teachers this, I learned this from you today, you know, and you're never too old to learn. And yeah, I think that's the most important aspect of any teacher, because we constantly challenged with brighter and brighter children who will come and ask us questions. So we have to keep ourselves, you know, in tune and updated with a lot of information, not only academic information, but how they talk, their lingo. Young children, even the deaf, have their own way of signing, and we can't say that's wrong, but because that's the new trend, that's how they sign, or that's what they say or do, we also have to be aware of that. Yeah.
I think our deaf community has so much to offer. They can do anything and everything except hearing. That is my belief in the deaf community, and yeah, give them that smile and just say hi to them, and you'll be amazed when you get to know a deaf individual, bond with them, you grow with them. You will open your life to the next level. I think that's what I believe. So.